Ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, we are back with Mortal Kombat, and we just killed us a robot.
Can you kill a robot?
Can you kill that which does not live? Well, he's a cyborg. We can do the cyborg robot android argument from Dragon Ball now.
Oh boy.
I like how these things are literally ninja Cybermen from Doctor Who.
And here we have Dr. Claw. Next time, Gadget. Next time.
Noob Cybot, who used to be just like a shadowy silhouette of a Sub-Zero sprite, I think. It's
Yeah, it was one of the dozen palette swaps that he had.
Yeah. Well, he was an Easter egg character, so he's like the one permitted palette swap. But yeah.
I was actually curious to play Noob Cybot, and then I jumped on online day one, and everyone was playing Noob Cybot. I'm like, well, not for me then.
Too mainstream for me.
That's it. Yeah, I am the hipster of fighting games. I got to play low tier.
Speaking of,
I mean, you are the jury guy.
Speaking of day one stuff in this game, and this is probably 6 parts later than people really wanted us to talk about it, but I didn't want to open on something negative, especially something negative that I don't entirely understand. When I got this game, I got a notice that they were fixing something that was wrong with it. There's some heavy microtransaction grinding, isn't there, in this game? Or there was?
Yeah.
Okay, so the way it works is that you basically have the crypt in this game, and in previous Mortal Kombats, the crypt was basically a place where you could go to, and it still is in this game, where you can go to unlock items and gear and costumes and fatalities and things like that. The problem is that in previous games, every grave in the crypt had a coordinate, a GPS coordinate to it, basically, that you could go to, and it was assigned. So if you wanted a particular costume for a character, you could just Google, where is this costume, and it will give you, someone will have found it and given you the coordinates for it. In this game, it's all RNG. It's all randomly determined, so there's no way to get a particular costume for a character. You just gotta grind for it. And the way to grind... Hang on, I'm almost done. The way to grind was in the Towers of Time, and the Towers of Time were way too fucking hard.
Yeah, that was the notice that I got on my first playthrough. It's like, we have been made aware of the difficulty of the Tower of Time and are working on a fix. Here's a free stop complaining about it now gift in-game currency or something. And that's not exactly what it said, but that's the paraphrase I got from it.
That's basically it, yeah. The Towers of Time, I have actually tried Towers myself, and now they have been patched, so it's a little bit moot, but apparently they were very, very difficult to actually try and do, like in the sense that the characters would regenerate health constantly, they would spam unblockable attacks, things like that. They were just really very pointlessly difficult, and people took that as an indication that NetherRealm were trying to force people to go out and buy currency, essentially.
Yeah, I get it. It's like, for me, it's frustrating because I want to play as, like, young Sonya Blade in other modes than story mode, you know? Because I just find her young costume cooler than her semi-generic military outfit. But, you know, I need to obviously unlock young Sonya Blade. So...
Well... The interesting thing about that is that it was revealed a couple days ago that there is an exploit in the crypt now, which will probably be patched out, if it hasn't been patched out already, that if you go into the crypt, and you can try this, kids, if it still works, I don't know if it does when you're going to be watching this, you can press, whatever button it is for the version you're playing, so if it's PlayStation, you press X to go into the crypt, and you hold the X down, and then you walk around the crypt with the X still held down, and the first chest that you go to in the crypt, while still holding down X, will open regardless of your currency that you currently have.
Oh.
So you can have 0 coins and go open the most expensive chest that you can find, and it will open right up.
So you could, if you were insanely patient, do this and just keep going in and out of the crypt and open every treasure chest for free.
That's right. That is the caveat. Is they can only do one chest. So what you do? So what I did at least is that I went to the chests that require 80 fatalities to open. Just walked right up, boom, open those chests up, open them bad boys, and get the random loot out of them.
It's weird. Both of the new fighting games that I got in this past month or so had obnoxious grinding requirements for their unlocks, and both had to be fixed. DOA 6 has already been fixed, thankfully. I got...
Yeah, DOA 6 was awful.
Okay, in DOA, for context viewers, in DOA 5, when you played arcade mode, you beat arcade mode and you got the next costume in line for whichever character you were playing as. That was your lot. That was all you needed to do to unlock things in 5. In 6, they did this pattern parts thing where every costume has a set number of pattern parts from like 100 to 200 to as high as 1,000, and you had to get all of the pattern parts for a costume before you could use your player points, your coins, essentially, to buy it. When the game launched, you got, like, butt amounts of pattern parts per fight, per run in arcade mode, per online match, whatever. And the pattern parts would go to a random costume and a random character. It didn't matter who you were playing as. Now that they fixed it, you get, like, maybe... If you play in champ mode in arcade, which is what I play most of the time, you get like 500 pattern parts. And you get like maybe 100 to 200 per online ranked match. So you can finish the pattern parts for costumes more quickly. But the important two changes they made, apart from increasing the amount you got, was that when you play as a character, priority for the pattern parts goes to costumes that belong to that character, and they don't start randomly going to other characters until you've got all the pattern parts for that character's costume list. And the second change is that when you get more pattern parts than you need for the costume that you randomly get points for, the other points you earned will go to another random costume. So you wasted a lot of pattern parts in the game at launch. And as an apology for this, they also just gave everyone a buttload of free pattern parts after the update. So it's like, we fucked up here.
It's just one of those things I can never stand in games is random rewards.
Yeah.
I should always
It was really weird.
It's one of those design decisions I don't get. It's like, I should always know what I'm going to be inherently getting by doing something.
It's easier to see unlocks as something to shoot for if you can direct your aim when shooting for it. And it's like after the update, there was one particular Hitomi costume that I really, really wanted, and after the update, it just took me like an hour of play to finally get it. And I spent my entire day trying to get that goddamn costume before I did our video on the game before. And I didn't manage to get it because all my pattern parts went to other costumes. So I just gave up. And
it's just a bad habit a lot of fighting games nowadays seem to have, just to try and either get you to keep playing or, lock stuff behind other various kinds of paywalls and to an extent. It's just really frustrating because it's like you have the stuff people want to use and you're just forcing them not to use it.
Yeah, it's just really obnoxious in Dead or Alive's case in particular because the Dead or Alive DLC economy ever since 5 has been based on like an obnoxious number of DLC costumes, and they make plenty of money off that. So adding something that encourages you to, adding something that makes it harder to get the in-game stuff when you've got all that DLC stuff that they're banking on people buying just really doesn't sit well. So I'm unspeakably glad that they fixed that.
I just want to know what's wrong with the old system of just grinding arcade mode, because I don't think did anyone ever really complain about that? Because I thought it was fine.
I don't think.
No, it makes sense. It makes sense, and it's it's not really random. You know what you're going to be getting out of it.
Yeah, it's the only problem that I can probably see with it. I'm not really sure how DOA 5 handled online with regards to upgrades. I don't think you got anything if you play it online. The new system, now that it's fixed, I would say I prefer it because it gives you progress towards your unlocks while you're playing ranked matches, which is what a lot of people are going to want to be doing rather than arcade mode. So you can make progress towards your unlocks in online mode, not just arcade mode. Or you get points towards your unlocks in the other single-player modes as well, which is also good. So
porque no los dos.
Yeah, so the pattern part system, in theory, works well for encouraging you to play more than just one mode. And it's just that the initial execution was really bad.
It was, and I think what's kind of funny about that as well is that it was really bad when it first started out, but then they actually swung too far in the other direction, and they went, right, we'll temporarily fix this by giving you only costume parts for your character, and we'll give you an absolute metric crapload of them. So I got like a whole bunch of costumes for Christy, like you said, in like a day or two, and then they finally balanced it out to what you're talking about, where it's like, okay, yeah, a lot of priority for your character, and then some other stuff will go to other characters.
Yeah. Ooh.
Also, can I point out that as an Australian, this is a really bad Australian accent.
It's the television Australian accent.
It is. It is like you could. We have a word for it. It's called bogan, which is your word for hillbilly.
I like the stuff they're doing with Jax here, where like his past self is still like really energetic and gung-ho, but his future self is all traumatized, and he's just lost his wife, so he's been sitting at home simultaneously depressed and not stable enough for action. And there's this really subdued moment where Jackie Briggs tells past Jax about this, and his past self doesn't like react really strongly. It's just a facial expression that tells you he's really troubled by it. Because it's like, okay, what if someone from the future came back and told you that in your future you're going to be hit so hard by the shit that happens that all this energy and bravery you've got is just going to disappear? It's not the kind of thing that I expected Mortal Kombat to ever tackle, and it doesn't really get deep into it, but it's interesting to think about, and I think it lends quite a bit of depth to Jax as a character, even though he's not featured particularly strongly here.
Yeah. Right in the fields. I always get Jax confused with TJ Combo from Killer Instinct.
Also, this guy is me, like, every other day with my wallet.
You can't hug your children with robot arms.
I especially like how past and future Jax have like completely different arms. Like future Jax has like the really angular plate-covered armored look that came with Mortal Kombat 10, but past Jax has like the sleek, metallic, unrealistically muscled robot arms that he had back in the day.
That were literally just painted on when they were doing the photography for his character.
Yeah. It's also interesting.
I feel like I feel like there's a reference with this Slingdog brew that I'm not getting as well, for the record.
It's also interesting here how Kronika plays on future Jax's his grief, his insecurity, and his fatherly wish that his daughter never had to go through the whole military thing. You know, that kind of semi-misguided fatherly instinct to protect one's daughter.
There is absolutely that, and I agree with that, but at the same time, I was kind of a little bit concerned as well, because it's like, she's like, oh, you know, your daughter shouldn't have been in the military. She shouldn't have done all this awesome stuff. She should have been at home knocking out kids. And I'm like, oh, someone's going to get pissed off about that.
Oh, well, yeah, it's one thing to have characters talking about things like this and playing on each other's insecurities, but you do have to realize that it is the bad guy who is saying this stuff and trying to appeal to a character who is in a bad place with this logic.
Damn, you're just the voice of reason in this playthrough, and I am loving it.
You know, it's interesting. You can't expect characters and stories to reflect your worldview. It's one thing if the story seems to be pushing a worldview at you, but the characters themselves should have their own perspectives on things. And this is Kronika appealing to Jax's perspective, or the things he has secretly thought about things, and, you know, getting to him with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree.
It's weird to see that in a story as dumb as Mortal Kombat, but it's a really effective technique.
Yeah, we just have these rare, beautiful moments in this story surrounded by dumbness.
That's how you know it's a good fighting game story. I like how we start off here with Katana, and it's like Jade is sending her off on a random side errand, but she winds up being the new Khan, after all is said and done. So it's like, wow, that escalated quickly.
and again, there's like one of those moments where this coming up just in a moment where Kitana's like, really, like, this is what you're getting me to do, and Jade's like, I'm getting you to do it because I trust you, and you're like the right person for the job. And it's like, oh, well, that was well written.
Yeah. It's low-key a good friendship between these two characters. You don't get much of it, but it's there, and...
Are you my friend or his consort?
Yeah, here we go.
And the payoff, of course, is that Kitana winds up going to Jade's rescue when Jade royally fucks everything up.
So. Thanks, Obama. I mean, Jade.